Hello, UC Berkeley. I'm your Chief Learning Officer, Angela Stopper. This is a Grow on the Go video to help you strengthen your ability to engage in dynamic feedback conversations and to explore where feedback is going to show up for you at Berkeley through your everyday work, check-in conversations, 360s, and our engagement surveys. We'll also be sharing with you some tips that will ensure that you have cutting-edge feedback sessions, allowing you to respond with action to actionable feedback.
Hi everyone, I'm Pam Rich, a consultant on the People and Organization Development team. We want to thank you for your time today. Think of this as your starting point for considering how you would like to grow and develop in your ability to share, exchange, receive, and respond with action to feedback. There's a really helpful companion guide linked in the description below with additional learning options that make sense of the next steps in your journey. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our colleague, Ying Kuah.
Thanks, Pam. Hi, my name is Ying Kuah. I'm a training lead on the People and Organization Development team. Feedback's a great gift to help us grow and help others grow. It might feel scary at times, but it doesn't have to be. Feedback can be really powerful when trust is built, when we know where it shows up, how to prepare, what's expected of us, and when we have an idea of what success looks like. So, what is feedback? Feedback is information about the past performance, behavior, results delivered in the present with the goal to influence future behavior, performance, or outcomes. Do any of these questions or comments resonate with you? They didn't ask for feedback, so I didn't give them any. Or how do I give feedback to my manager? I'm afraid to give them feedback. I've never gotten much feedback. I only get negative feedback. What about 360s? Talking about what went well is a form of feedback? I only get feedback in my performance check-in. How can I give actionable feedback as a coach? How can we build a culture in which feedback is normalized? We are going to be providing you with answers to these critical questions and more during this video through the companion job aid in the description of this video below. Let's start by breaking the mold to expand the concept of feedback. Many of us have learned to give feedback sandwiches, which is a way of giving feedback that goes like this. Say something nice, then say the critical feedback, what you actually want to say, and then say something nice again to wrap up the conversation. This feedback sandwich model is well intended. It's meant to do a few things. Soften blow of what you're about to say, make it easier to hear the difficult stuff, protect someone's feelings, or because we don't want to be the bad guy. The problem is that this model is deeply flawed. The feedback sandwich is not effective for a few reasons. One, people may only hear the positive and think everything is fine, even though there was something really concerning in the middle of the sandwich. Another, the feedback sandwich is so obvious that after you use it once or twice, people can see it coming. Therefore, you end up training your people to hear any compliment as, uh-oh, what did I do this time? This breeds lack of trust and cynicism, which I'm assuming is not what you had in mind. It's manipulative. You pull it out when you want to influence someone in a roundabout way, not a direct way. It's superficial. You're trying so hard to make the feedback receiver feel more comfortable rather than to enlighten them and help them grow. Because of this ineffective feedback sandwich myth, we might be thinking of feedback on a binary. There's good feedback and there's bad feedback, and it always comes from the manager. Today, we'd like to tell you a different story about how feedback is actually showing up and what you can do with it. When I think of feedback, I think input, insight, thoughtfulness, care and support, continuous improvement, affirmation, alignment, personal anecdotes, guidance, coaching, upward, critical, encouragement, thought partnership, building upon foundations, learning, and high impact valuable time. The way we frame feedback in our own minds will impact how we deliver it, and how we deliver it will affect the impact it has. It's not about good or bad feedback. Rather, it's either recognition or appreciation, or constructive, action-oriented, and learning-focused, both of which are good feedback that helps other person grow. Expanding our perspectives about feedback, it's about having that growth mindset and keeping that hat on all the time, which makes us stronger as a growth-based organization. When we say dynamic feedback at Berkeley, it's not just about asking for feedback or saying, please give me some feedback. Dynamic feedback asks us to actively engage in conversations about how we can grow as individuals, collaborators, teams, and UC Berkeley as a whole. Today, we're going to help you with getting better at engaging in ongoing, organic, dynamic feedback through knowing how it shows up, how to understand the context, and then what to do with the gift of feedback. Let's think about UC Berkeley's coaching model to set the scene for how you will plan and give actionable feedback, or respond and act when you receive feedback. First, discover. What is the feedback? What's the impact? What is the intention of giving this feedback? Then explore options. What are some learnings or actionable steps we can take to improve and grow? Then plan your actions. What will I do? By when? Finally, but not lastly, act. Taking action. How do we ensure accountability? What support is needed? And if action was not taken as planned, we might go back to discover to understand the barrier, or re-explore our options, or replan our options.
Thanks so much, Ying. To actively engage in exchanging feedback in this dynamic way, we must nurture trust in our work relationships. We spend a lot of time with our colleagues, and it pays off when we do the work needed to strengthen how we support one another as real people and as professionals who are here to do excellent work. When we have trust, organic and even formalized feedback exchanges can become fun, engaging, and exciting, because we get to make the world an even better place through doing something with that gift of feedback. I want to share with you how feedback is going to show up for you as an employee at Berkeley, and how to engage with it effectively as an active participant. When we think about where feedback is going to meet us every day at Berkeley, it's through self-reflection, so that awareness of what we do well, of our major challenges in the work, and how what we do makes an impact on the people around us. Then there's the relational focus, feedback among colleagues, collaborators, peers, feedback from your manager or feedback to your manager, really from anyone in your work sphere or to anyone in your work sphere. And also at the team or organizational level. That's broader feedback from clients and stakeholders, or even to clients and stakeholders. Let's start by talking about everyday life at UC Berkeley. At a very high level, feedback generally arrives with the purpose of either addressing the nature of the work that we're doing or how things are going with each other. When we think about ways to support effective, meaningful feedback, start with these fundamentals. Check your purpose. What's the actionable outcome you're hoping for? Be authentic and honest. Set your intentions to create clarity, and be sure the feedback is just in time and given at the right time. Also, be sure to recognize appropriately, to share criticism in private, and to create equal ground for brave conversations among the participants in the feedback conversation. You'll want to be specific to the issue, but also caring and supportive for the person with a focus on growth and learning. Ensure that your feedback conversation includes active listening from both parties and multi-way communication. To do all this, you'll need to prepare for your conversation. Build and practice a few game plans or scenarios for agreement, for disagreement, for negotiation, whatever may come up organically in the feedback conversation. And in the end, use feedback to discover and explore specific suggestions, focus on solving problems and future success, and agree to an action plan with identified, actionable, and measurable follow-ups. So now that you've known that, feedback is easy, right? So no one is saying that. Being good at giving and receiving feedback is really challenging. And it's entirely worth it to be as thoughtful as we can to support each other on our journeys as we become better feedback givers and receivers. Think about it like this. It's not about being right. It's about getting the moment right. To truly engage effectively with dynamic feedback is to do it continually. Don't save all of your feedback for formalized check-in conversations about performance. Make it part of your world. Speaking of performance, Achieve Together check-in conversations for non-represented employees are a perfect opportunity to reflect and discuss what's going well, what's on track, and what opportunities there may be for improvement within any aspect of your or your manager's expectations. Through Achieve Together, you have the chance to highlight, and your supervisor will have the chance to share feedback on how you're mastering your job, making progress on your goals, your collaborations, on how you're making continuous improvement through innovation, and on the ways you've included others to enable belonging on our UC Berkeley campus and on your team. Check out the achievement criteria to learn more about the expectations among those 5 criteria. Being responsive to changing needs is baked right into Achieve Together because we want you to be successful in getting out in front of change and fortifying your role as an employee who is continually learning and growing. To that end, this is an amazing opportunity to share feedback with your supervisor about how they can better support your success. Creating space to exchange feedback through ongoing one-on-ones makes check-in conversations surprise-free and really about maximizing what we know so we can plan together for future success. Another area in which feedback shows up at UC Berkeley are our employee engagement surveys. These surveys ask questions about your employee experience so that we in People and Culture can advocate for better day-to-day working environments for you. It's critical that you take a few minutes to complete these, as they have resulted in some major structural changes here at Berkeley, such as dependent care, funding for unlimited courses at UC Berkeley Extension, no meeting Friday afternoons, and the new professional development policy that fortifies employees' time for career and professional development. Another exciting area in which feedback plays a major role at UC Berkeley is our Korn Ferry 360 Leadership Development Assessments. This is a new product offered by my team in which you can take part in a confidential development 360. The assessment can be customized for you using leadership competencies that matter to you and to our campus. As a participant, you get to choose raters to give you feedback on your skill level as they see it, and how important that skill is for your success. Then, and most importantly, you get to work with a certified coach to review your personalized, confidential assessment, analyze your results, and support you in building a personalized development plan. If you're interested in experiencing the Korn Ferry 360, please contact us at grow.berkeley.edu. And remember, at Berkeley People and Culture, we don't use 360s for performance management. This is a professional development tool. Let me restate, your 360 is confidential, and it's an excellent way for you to take control of your career and your professional development. I hope I've helped to expand your mindset about how to actively engage in dynamic feedback and given you a heightened sense of where feedback shows up at Berkeley. With that now, let's focus on what's next.
As you heard, Angela offered many ways that we can receive feedback at Berkeley. Now we can ask ourselves, what do we do with that feedback? In short, we respond to actionable feedback with action. The great Maya Angelou told us, do your best until you know better. Then, when you know better, do better. Of course, this quote reminds us that we are put on this earth to strive to become the best person we can be for ourselves and others. And we know doing that takes a lot of work. So let's put our planning hats on. Whether you agree or disagree, show that you are grateful to this person for sharing this critical feedback. Let's say you agree. Now what? Think back to our initial set of questions. Discover. What's the feedback? Explore. What learnings or actionable steps can we take to improve and grow? Plan. What will I do? By when? Act. What support is needed? When you've answered those questions, really think about what success moving forward looks like. If the parties involved can articulate the answer to that question with similarity and clarity, then you have a great start. Also think about what resources, support, and collaborative work you might need to actually operationalize the improvement needed. When you disagree with the feedback, start by listening actively, presently, and check your understanding. Be patient, thoughtful, and advocate for time if it's needed to consider and process. Try finding common ground, discuss the nature of the agreement, then try to seek agreement on a few next steps. When the nature of the feedback might be on the subjective side or even inappropriate in nature, maybe it's about your identities as a person or protected class. This is when you want to reach out early and often to your HR partner. It's critical that feedback is shared appropriately and thoughtfully. There are also times in which you might want to learn more information to identify your next steps. That's totally fine. Sometimes you might find yourself unable to answer, what action can I take? Or what does success look like moving forward? This is a major indicator to revisit the conversation to bring more clarity to your next steps. So now what? Check in on how things are going. Don't wait for the other person to bring up your progress. Highlight and communicate about what you are learning and doing to make the necessary improvements that started from the feedback conversation. Get out in front and get excited about the opportunity to work in new ways, to try new things, and to fully realize your potential in your role.
This video is another mile marker on your journey. With expanded mindset, that awareness of how feedback shows up everyday work, achieve together check-ins, Korn Fair 360s, and more, you now will have a greater ability to plan and give actionable feedback and receive and respond to actionable feedback with action. You might be ready to share or ask or change feedback, and you might want to do some additional reflection and learning. The companion guide link below has awesome curated additional resources, recommended classes, and tools to help you get even better at engaging in dynamic feedback every day at Berkeley. Thanks everyone for your time today watching this Grow on the Go video. Many thanks to Pam Rich and Angela Stopper. On behalf of the People and Organization Development Team, I'm Ying Kuah. Go Bears!